guys, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest pains in the backside we get as builders and where we lose the most amount of money. And whether it be a small builder, a volume builder, or a commercial builder, or civil work, it is the hardest thing to estimate. And typical estimating software really struggles with it. But I'm going to show you a slightly different way, actually a much better way. So just check this out. So what we have here is a typical site plan. This is of a house. It's a 2.5 meter sloping block. And basically where a lot of things go wrong is the architect would usually say to be determined on site. And therefore you kind of have a lot of trouble with figuring out, how a 2D plan will actually fit on a 3D block. And to be determined on site makes it impossible for you to ascertain a fixed price for the client. And therefore you could have it as a provisional allowance or a preliminary allowance where you might allow X amount of dollars and charge the client more. However, that's not necessary. Customers don't feel confident when they don't have fixed prices. It actually motivates a customer to go with a builder who'll give them a fixed price. So there are a lot of advantages in actually having a fixed price. And what I'm showing you here is actually a 3D contour. And what we've done, we've overlaid some grass on it so that we can see that we have a sloping block. And what we want to see is how the block is going to sit into those contours, because we want to be certain on what's required. We want to know in our head what it's going to take to build it and where the complexities are. And we also want to know how much cut there's going to be on the block and how much fill there's going to be on the block and how much detailed excavation is required to build a typical slab on ground project, which is kind of what a lot of volume builders do in Australia. A lot of volume builders also will say, well, we won't build on blocks over a certain amount of slope, which basically means that customer is now going to go to a custom builder, and the same problem applies. So as you can see here, there's a lot involved in just preparing for the slab, because we have to try and get this detailed excavation work laser graded so that we're minimizing the waste in concrete. Right. We also want to know how much fill we've got to get rid of and how much fill we've got to keep. Right. So the green area up here is the cut and the yellow area is actually the fill. And you can see we're going to have to import fill here. So when we're importing cubic meters of fill, then we need to compact it. So basically it's 2.2 times the amount of fill in cubic meters in the estimate than what we actually require. And a lot of builders lose money there. The advantage of doing it like this is that I can simply right click and I can go take off selection. It will tell me exactly how much fill is required. So in this particular area, we have X amount of fill. And if I went to all of it and took off all of the slab, I can figure out how much detailed excavation, how much fill is required, and I can figure out the complexities of the project. I can also explain to the customer why it's so expensive. What is being wasted? All of this area under here is concrete, which is unnecessary if the client had chose a better block. So number one, being able to communicate with the client and tell them why it's so expensive. And number two, being able to understand what the complexity is will allow you to associate the right amount of labor, the right amount of materials, and the right amount of everything it's going to take to actually build a project such as this. Working in the third dimension with proper estimating software like PlusDesignBuild enables you to do that and enables you to be educated every time you give a quote. So if you're getting plans coming in that are on contoured blocks or sloping blocks and you're taking a bit of a guess at the groundwork, just be careful with it, guys, because it is the number one reason why builders lose money. All right, guys, be interesting to hear your feedback. If you've got any horror stories, share them with us, guys, because it'll be interesting to know if there's better solutions out there. And if PlusDesignBuild helps you on 1 out of 10 jobs a year and saves you from losing cash, I think it's been a good year. Cheers, guys.